Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. The 2010s have brought major psychology-related developments: singlehood, sexual fluidity, assisted suicide, religion, mind-altering drugs, the ascendance of women, decline of men, genetics, and President Trump. First, let's turn to singlehood. Marriage is declining. Singlehood, even with children, increasing. Some, like Psychology Today blogger Bella DePaolo, champion singlehood, pointing to the considerable freedoms. Critics often focus on the notion that children are better off with two parents, although I'd rather my child be with a loving single parent than with a fighting couple. Now let's turn to sexual fluidity. Especially in academic circles, sexual binarism, that there are men and women, homosexuals and heterosexuals, is often deemed reductionistic. That view holds that people are on a fluid continuum between male and female, heterosexual and homosexual. In addition, sexual orientation can also be fluid over the lifespan. Religiosity replaced by atheism, and spiritual, not religious. As science advances, it becomes ever more difficult to believe that an omniscient, omnipotent, benevolent deity exists. This decade certainly saw evidence of that trend. The fastest growing religion in the U.S. is no religion. Indeed, CNN reports that more people say they adhere to no religion than to Catholicism or evangelical Protestantism. Assisted suicide. More states are allowing people to decide when to end their life. Religious forces have pressured legislators to place strong restrictions on people's ability to do so, but the trend is toward giving people that most personal of freedoms. The ascendance of women, decline of men. Fueled by feminist and Me Too efforts, this decade was marked by female empowerment, even by children wearing pussy hats and reading such books as Motherfucking Girl Power. And the following titles are aimed at adults: You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness, and its Amazon rank is 100 out of the 4 million books that are on Amazon. Another such book is Badass Affirmations, The Wit and Wisdom of Wild Women. Fuck You All, 1 minute a day of gratitude and sass, a daily gratitude journal for badass women who take no shit. It's hard to imagine Amazon selling such titles if the genders were reversed. A slogan like, "The future is male," might well be censored by Google, Facebook, Twitter, and major media outlets. Yet the female empowerment message indeed is encapsulated by Hillary Clinton's battle cry, "The future is female," and it's influential. A Google search today on that term yielded 1,770,000 results. Conversely, men are in decline. Today, college grads are 60% female, 40% male, and projections suggest no improvement for the future. Men commit suicide at least at 3 times the rate of women. Men suffer the ultimate deficit. They die 5 years younger. There are more than 4 widows for every widower. By the way, every one of these assertions, or most of them, where it's possible, I have a link to an authoritative source in the text version of this, which is on Psychology Today. Yet a review of PubMed, which indexes 3,000 medical journals, finds that the overwhelming majority of gender-specific research and outreach has for decades now been on and for women. And society's mind molders, schools, colleges, and media, disproportionately portray men as doofuses, unethical, predators, or all of the above. The anti-male bias even extends to young children. All 10 of the 10 top box office children animated movies have spunky female heroes besting inferior white males. If media portrayals matter, as is widely asserted, if I had a son, I'd worry. My wish for the 2020s is merit-based treatment of the sexes. Increased recreational use of mind-altering drugs. Defying the scientists' warnings and the post-legalization increases in cardiovascular, lung diseases, cardiovascular and lung diseases, car accidents, overdoses, and child use and hospitalizations, the past decade has seen accelerated hurtling toward broader legalization. Our supposedly caring government seems to be opting for tax dollars over our health. Conversely, and in a sense ironically, the government's cracking down on opioid use. Yes, that has the benefit of reducing unnecessary addiction, but it often makes it more difficult for people whose pain desperately requires an opioid. My best friend is at the end of his life and in horrific pain. And although he is a brilliant, highly verbal man, he's having a hard time getting doctors to prescribe opioids. They cite the government crackdown. My wish for the 2020s is that marijuana will be available only by prescription so that MDs can prescribe it, if it is a treatment of choice for medical conditions such as pain or nausea. But it shouldn't be available for recreational use. Limiting marijuana to medical prescription would likely yield the same benefit as Prohibition did. In Prohibition's first few years, alcohol consumption dropped by 2/3, and by 1/3 in its later years, resulting in countless saved lives. When Prohibition was lifted, alcohol consumption rose to its pre-Prohibition level. Now let's turn to behavioral genetics. Perhaps the decade's most important yet little reported psychology-related development has been research demonstrating that many of our behaviors and attitudes are significantly, of course not completely, under genetic control. Examples are self-control, political leaning left or right, sexual orientation, intelligence, behavioral flexibility, schizophrenia, autism, even quality of marriage. And again, go see the Psychology Today text version of this called The Decade in Review, and you'll see the links. In parallel, there has been progress in identifying the gene clusters associated with some of the above, plus improvement in gene editing. Collectively, this suggests that the 2020s will bring the promise and peril of prospective parents being better able to ensure that their child starts life without undue genetic impediments, and perhaps even, if society deems it acceptable, enhancement, for example, of intelligence and altruism. It could well be that the coming decades will see an intelligence and altruism quote-unquote pill available on a purely voluntary basis for all. To help avoid an exacerbation of the gap between society's haves and have-nots, such a pill should, like most medical treatments, be provided free to the poor, a part of Medi-Cal and other such programs. And finally, another factor that has psychological significance over the last decade is Donald Trump. When Trump got elected, many in the public and in the media were emotional. Some people even said they were planning to move to Canada. The left called such reactions a rational response to a person unfit to be president. The right called it Trump derangement syndrome. Emotions have remained high. I have friends, highly educated and otherwise mild-mannered, who said they hope Trump dies. 2 of them have said that if they had the chance, they'd kill him. One said, I'd kill him in the slowest, most painful way I could. My hope is that the 2020s will give way to more reason and less fury on both sides. It has been a psychologically rich decade, and the 2020s promise to be at least as rich. In any event, I thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I would welcome your thumbs up, if needed, a thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments. I would love it if you would hit the share button below and share your social media, and or subscribe to my channel. And in any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko.